Jack carefully helped Tu Tien out of the car as they arrived at the hospital. Today was a special day for both of them, as it was Jack's first time taking 2 trillion tons to her prenatal checkup. They had been eagerly anticipating this moment, especially Jack, who had spent a lot of time researching pregnancy to ensure he could take the best care of Tu Tien. Tu Tien sat in the waiting room gently, placing her hand on her belly, her eyes filled with hope and anticipation. Jack sat beside her, holding her hand tightly, his eyes constantly watching her every move. He grew worried any time he saw Tu Tien frown from exhaustion or any unusual movement. In that moment, Jack felt a surge of love and responsibility. He had always loved 2 trillion tons, but now that feeling was even stronger, knowing they were about to become parents. When the nurse called their name, Jack quickly stood up and helped 2 trillion tons into the exam room. The doctor, a middle-aged woman with years of experience, gave them a reassuring look that put them at ease. After a few greetings, the doctor invited Tu Tien to lie down on the examination bed to begin the ultrasound. Jack stood right beside her, his eyes glued to the ultrasound screen. When the first image of their baby appeared on the screen, his heart skipped a beat. It was the first time he had seen his child, and a feeling he couldn't describe overwhelmed him. All the fatigue, vegan worries from the past few weeks seemed to vanish the moment Jack saw the tiny yet vibrant life growing inside 2 trillion tons. The doctor smiled and pointed out the baby's heartbeat, the development of different organs, and other vital information. Each detail she shared made Jack even more appreciative of the little life they were creating. While the doctor spoke with Jack about the baby's health, Tu Tien smiled at her husband. She could feel the care and concern Jack had in every small gesture, in it made her feel lucky to have such a loving partner. Though Jack didn't say much, his presence beside her during these significant moments was enough to make her feel at peace. After the checkup, the doctor gave important advice about diet, rest, and prenatal care. Jack listened attentively and took notes on everything the doctor said. He wanted to ensure he would do everything right to keep both 2 trillion tons and the baby healthy. They thanked the doctor and left the office together. On the way home, Jack couldn't stop asking about how Tu Tien felt and listened carefully to her hopes and dreams for their unborn child. 2 trillion tons shared with Jack her plans for the future, how they would care for and raise the baby together. Jack quietly listened, occasionally responding with soft understanding words of support. The emotions Jack felt were hard to put into words. He had always been a strong man, facing many challenges in life, but now as he prepared to become a father, he knew he had to be even stronger, not only to protect Tu Tien, but also for the little life growing inside her. When a car stopped in front of their house, Jack got out first to open the door and gently helped Tu Tien out. Before going inside, he paused for a moment, looked at her with love in his eyes, and said, "I'll always be here for you and our baby. Nothing is more important than our family." Tu Tien, moved by his words, nodded and smiled, leaning on his shoulder. The first prenatal checkup wasn't just an important moment to check the health of the mother and baby. It was also a turning point for Jack and Tu Tien to mentally prepare for the journey of after returning home from the hospital. Jack and Tu Tien were still overwhelmed with joy and emotion from their first prenatal checkup. It was a special moment in their lives, seeing the first images of their baby growing in Tu Tien's womb. Both were incredibly happy, but at the same time, Jack felt even more concerned about the future of their little family. He knew his love and protection for Tu Tien and their child were boundless, but he wanted to do more to affirm his love. That evening, while 2 trillion tons was preparing dinner in the kitchen, Jack quietly stood by the window, deep in thought about the plan he had been forming. They had talked about getting married many times before, but due to busy lives and various challenges, they hadn't had the opportunity to make it happen. Now, with Tu Tien pregnant and a new member on the way, Jack wanted to take action immediately after dinner. When they were sitting together, Jack took Tien's hand, looked into her eyes, and gently said, "I've been thinking a lot about this, and I feel it's time for us to get married. I want to officially call you my wife, and together we'll build a happy family for our child." 2 trillion tons was taken aback by Jack's proposal. While she knew they always loved and were committed to each other, she hadn't expected him to want a wedding so soon. She was touched and softly replied, "But we haven't prepared anything yet. We still have so much to take care of. Isn't this too rushed?" Jack smiled warmly and replied, "The wedding doesn't need to be complicated or grand. The most important thing is that we have each other, and our child will be born into a happy family where their parents deeply love each other. I've thought it through. We'll have a small, simple wedding that's meaningful. We don't need many people, just those closest to us, and will officially belong to each other." Moved by Jack's sincerity and determination, 2 trillion tons felt comforted. She nodded in agreement, and together they decided to hold a small wedding that weekend right at their home. Over the next few days, Jack and Tien planned their wedding. Together, they chose not to make a big announcement, only inviting close family and friends, including Jack's mother, a few close friends, and their nearby neighbors. They also wanted the wedding to be simple, without elaborate decorations or rituals. What mattered most was the sacred moment when they would officially to become husband and wife. Finally, the wedding day arrived that morning. The house was filled with joy and anticipation. Jack's mother had risen early to prepare traditional dishes, while Jack helped Tuten adj just a simple yet elegant wedding dress. The dress was a soft white, not overly extravagant, but it beautifully highlighted Tu Tien gentle and natural beauty. As for Jack in his neat suit, his eyes shone with pride and happiness. The ceremony was held in the small garden behind their house under the shade of a large tree. The setting was simple, with a few fresh flowers for decoration, creating a warm and intimate atmosphere. The guests were few, but they brought heartfelt blessings. As Jack and Tu Tien stood in front of each other exchanging vows, both were deeply moved. Jack held Tu Tien's hand, looking into her eyes as if to reaffirm that he would always be there, loving and protecting her forever. "I promise to always love, care for, and stand by you for the rest of our lives, no matter what challenges come our way. I will always be here beside you and our child," Jack said in a heartfelt voice, moving everyone at the wedding. To Tien's eyes welled up with tears, not out of sadness, but because she knew she had found true happiness. She replied, "I also promise to always be by your side, building a happy family together and raising our child. Thank you for always loving and protecting me." After exchanging rings, the two shared a sweet kiss as the guests cheered and offered their blessings. It was an unforgettable moment, a significant milestone in their journey of love and building a family. After the ceremony, everyone gathered together to enjoy the delicious food Jack's mother had prepared. The atmosphere was warm and full of joy. Laughter and conversations filled the air, making the space lively and full of happiness. That evening, after the guests had left, Jack and Tu Tien sat together in their cozy living room, sipping tea. Their eyes sparkled with happiness. As they thought about the future, Jack gently placed his hand on Tu Tien's belly where the baby was growing. "I can't believe we're married now and about to have a complete family. It's all so magical," Jack whispered. Tuten smiled, resting her head on Jack's shoulder. "I feel the same way. Thank you for always being with me for this unexpected but meaningful wedding. I'm truly happy to be your wife." Jack looked deeply into Tu Tien's eyes, holding her hand tightly, and said, "From now on, we'll face every challenge together, building a happy home for our child. I promise to always do everything for you and our child." That night, they fell asleep in each other's arms, dreaming sweet dreams about the bright future ahead. Their simple yet meaningful wedding marked the beginning of a new journey where love, trust, and perseverance would guide them toward a fulfilled and happy life. Oh,